The Lord is a great God. Oh, that today we would listen to his voice. Harden not our hearts. Amen. Please do be seated. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. It's always very difficult, if not impossible, to completely understand another person, especially when the words they speak are figurative rather than literal. These words of Jesus, quoted by Mark some years after Jesus' ascension, and therefore not necessarily exactly word for word what Jesus said, are a case in point. There are a few things we can do to help us better understand what Jesus may have had in mind when he used these words and these images. We can look for clues in other words and images that Jesus may have said. We can look for clues in the way such words and images are used in general in that culture at that time. We can share our thoughts and interpretations with others in the hope that we will reach an understanding which is not just the product of our own perspective. We can strive to be open to touch a truth which these words hold, aware of God's ever-presence with us, with Mark, and with Jesus. And we can hold our understandings lightly, aware that we may not, indeed, probably have not, grasped the fullness of Jesus' words. With those aids to understanding in mind, I'll humbly offer my interpretation of these somewhat strange words placed by Mark on the lips of Jesus. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. Now, I began my search for an understanding by looking around at what was said after and before these strange words. Jesus followed these words with this rhetorical question: what good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? Jesus introduced the image of losing your life with this image: if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross. And before all of those words were spoken, Jesus had rebuked Peter, saying, "You do not have in mind the things of God, but the things of men." And so, trying to hold all those words, all those images together, I tried to answer a question that came to my mind when I read the words, his life. What is my life in a figurative sense? My life, our lives, in this figurative sense, are the thoughts we have, the words we say, the things that we do, the things that we hold dear, the idea of the person that I would like to be. My life, in our life, in this figurative sense, is the values by which we have been and by which we are shaped. Sadly, like Peter, the things which shape our lives are far too often not the things of God, but the things of this passing world, the things of men. And this passing world invites us, lures us, like the call of the sirens or the beauty of the kelpies, to use images from myths we have long told to each other. This passing world lures us to seek to gain the things that this world holds before us as the things that we must have. A big house, a garage full of expensive cars, designer clothes, luxury holidays, the latest high-tech gadget. And the list goes on and on and on. And I'll leave you to continue that list. But the things that we are shaped to desire are shaped first and foremost by the world's created desire that I must have what I want. I must satisfy my desires. Like Peter's desire to have his friend, his mentor, his rabbi, by his side for the rest of his earthly life. This world tells us it's all about what I want. To these worldly desires, to which we are conditioned to aspire, Jesus asks, what good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? The shaping of our lives to seek the things of men, the things of this passing world, is a very powerful force. It began at our conception and continues throughout our lives, virtually every moment of every day. It is often unseen, unacknowledged, and above all, insidious. That is why Jesus put before us the daunting challenge. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross. The teaching of Jesus that we should seek to love God with all that we are and to love our neighbours as ourselves flies in the face of the teaching of this world. That's why Jesus uses the image of denying ourselves, going against the ways of this world, ways which are so deeply embedded into our very being. That's why Jesus uses the image of taking up our cross, putting to death the things of this world, so we may be reborn to the things of God. The sirens call us with their songs, songs that draw us to seek only our selfish self-satisfaction, songs that will lure us to our deaths on the rocks of greed. The Kelpies attract us with their power and beauty and a promise to be part of their world, a world which will only ever take us down to our deaths. To these, Jesus speaks a life-affirming paradox. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. The answer to this seeming paradox lies in the words Jesus spoke to Peter, in which we need to hear, not just today, but every day, and to hear every time we dare to pray, "Thy will be done." And those words which Jesus spoke to Peter were simply, you don't have in mind the things of God, but the things of men. May we always strive with help and guidance of one another, and above all the help, the guidance and the love of God, to have in mind the eternal things of God and not the things of this passing world. Amen.